Throughout human history, many kings ruled with swords. Some ruled through blood. But only one man ruled with such wisdom that even angels bowed before him. And demons obeyed. His name was Solomon, the third king of Israel, son of David, blessed by God with a mind unmatched by any before or after. It is said that when Solomon received the divine ring, engraved with the seal of heaven, he gained more than wisdom. He heard the voices of wind, of beasts, and even the whispers from the pit of hell itself. With that ring, he did the unthinkable. He subdued, commanded, and imprisoned 72 of the most powerful demons the world has ever known. Ancient beings, each with a terrifying form, a supernatural power, and a secret that only Solomon dared to uncover. These demons were not destroyed. They were bound in brass, their names, ranks, and legions carved into the pages of time. That record is now called the Ars Goetia, and even speaking their names aloud comes with a price. In this series, you will meet each of them. From the invisible King Baal to the whispering Duke of Forbidden Knowledge, Astaroth. But before we begin, remember this. Solomon once bound them. But you are not Solomon. Clapperboard, welcome to the 72 demons of King Solomon. Astaroth, the whisperer of forbidden knowledge. In the faded memories of banned tones, in the dust of ancient libraries untouched by light, there exists a name so potent that both angels and demons fall silent at its mention, Astaroth. He does not roar like Lucifer, nor revel in carnage like Belial. Astaroth simply whispers. And each whisper is a curse upon the human mind. As a Duke of Hell, Astaroth commands 40 legions of spirits. Yet his power does not arise from blood or flame, but from knowledge so profound it burns the soul. He does not fight with sword or fire, but with unspoken truths. He is the embodiment of forbidden wisdom, knowledge sealed away by heaven and buried deep by hell, truths that could unravel the universe, or ignite madness in those who glimpse it. When he manifests, Astaroth appears not as a grotesque monster, but as an eerie blend of beauty and decay. He stands tall, robed in a cloak of ash black, embroidered with shifting runes, living glyphs that breathe and pulse like a heartbeat. His face is androgynous, ethereal, pale as death, but his eyes are dark and endless like the cosmos before time. His wings, vast and leathery, resemble those of an ancient bat, torn at the edges, shedding dust and unease with every movement. He rides upon a dragon of cinder, and his left hand is coiled by a living serpent, an eternal symbol of temptation and forbidden insight. Unlike many demons who command through fear, Astaroth seduces through intellect. He whispers secrets that unravel sanity, offering knowledge man was never meant to hold. His abilities are terrifying. He speaks all languages, even those of stars and spirits. He grants mortals the ability to see the past, present, and future simultaneously. He can summon the spirits of ancient scholars, philosophers, and prophets for counsel. And most disturbingly, he can trap enemies in illusions of infinite knowledge, leaving them to dissolve within their own awakening. But there is always a price, the soul. Those who have summoned Astaroth, no matter how wise or prepared, have never remained the same. They become husks, haunted by visions, scrawling books no one can read, or die with their tongues torn out, terrified that others might hear what they've learned. His armies are unlike any other. Legio anime, fragmented souls of once great thinkers, now only whispers drifting through time. Tenebra manus, bestial forms with lion heads, torturing through unsolvable questions instead of pain. Sibilants, dark shadows without form, haunting cursed libraries, guarding Astaroth's vault of truths, ensuring none leave sane. Long before he was a demon, it is said that Astaroth was once the angel Astariel, dwelling on the fourth heaven as a guardian of divine knowledge. But when he asked the question, if man is made in God's image, why is he punished for seeking to understand? He was cast out. And thus, he chose hell not for hatred, but as a haven for truth denied. Legends claim it was Astaroth who planted the first question in Lucifer's heart, not as a conspirator, but as a challenger of thought. Belial scorned him for refusing to take sides. Paimon once learned under him, referring to Astaroth as master of all kings. Those who summon Astaroth must undergo a forbidden rite. The summoning circle must be drawn in black salt and virgin's blood, exactly at 3:03 a.m. His sigil must be engraved on pure copper, heated by a flame fed with the bones of a mad scholar. And above all, never ask him of God, or he will whisper truths until the mind bursts from within. Ancient scrolls claim that the Illuminati once called upon him, not to gain power, but to learn how to control society through doubt and dissonance. Certain Kabbalistic myths suggest Astaroth still resides beneath the tree of knowledge of good and evil, guarding its roots. He does not block the fruit. He only asks, are you ready to accept the cost of what you seek to know? Compared to others, Paimon teaches art and hierarchy. Baal offers invisibility and fear. Belial tempts with empty power and wealth. But Astaroth reigns over forbidden wisdom, peerless in knowledge yet the most dangerous of them all. For no one hears his whisper and ever finds silence again. He is Astaroth, the one who whispers, the keeper of answers not meant to be known. And once you hear him, you will never truly be alone in your thoughts again. But even in the vast dominions of hell, there exists silence, a breath held between revelations and decisions, between knowledge and consequence. The whisper of Astaroth fades like smoke through ancient marble halls, leaving behind minds shattered by truth too vast to bear. And in that hush, something colder emerges. Not a scream, not a flame, but the slow, deliberate rustle of parchment, and the sound of a pen scratching across a contract written in blood. Where Astaroth tests the mind, the next will test your will. He does not offer knowledge, but bargains. He does not burn the soul, he binds it. And once the ink has dried, not even the angels can unwrite your name. Now, the crimson gates creak open, and the Duke of Bound promises rides forth. Berith, the crimson pact-maker. In the smoke-blackened corners of history, where lies are dressed as oaths and blood flows thicker than truth, there dwells a name spoken only in low voices and sealed scrolls, Berith. He is not a creature of chaos, nor a mindless brood of fire and fury. Berith is order, but an order built upon corruption, sealed with crimson ink, and signed in a soul's own blood. As a great Duke of Hell, Berith commands 26 legions of infernal spirits, though his power is less in their numbers and more in his dominion over contracts, oaths, and the twisted nature of truth itself. Where others destroy cities with fire or madness, Berith undoes kingdoms with a single whispered deal. His appearance is regal, impossibly so. When he manifests, Berith rides a mighty red horse, armored in black gold, its breath smelling of rust and dried blood. The demon himself is clad in crimson armor, encrusted with tarnished jewels, his crown bent and burning faintly with an internal, ember-like glow. His face is hidden behind a smooth mask, neither smiling nor frowning, but instead blank, like the face of judgment itself. In one hand, he holds a scroll that writes itself with ink drawn from the hearts of kings. In the other, a molten ring, spinning with names that have been erased from all records, but remembered by hell. Unlike the more flamboyant spirits of Goetia, Berith does not seduce or threaten. He waits. He listens. He offers. He is the one who appears when the desperate pray for justice or vengeance, and quietly changes the terms when they aren't looking. His terrifying gifts include the power to turn lies into truth and truth into weapons. Once Berith affirms a falsehood, even angels must act as though it were real. He can bestow immense charisma, making rulers irresistible to their people, even as they lead them to ruin. He teaches alchemy, not just to transmute metal into gold, but to transmute loyalty into betrayal or hope into despair. Most dreadfully, he remembers all pacts, and will return at the end of days to collect on those who have forgotten the promises they made in weakness. His legions are composed of pact binders, spirits cloaked in chains and scrolls, whispering forgotten contracts into the ears of sleeping nobles. The Crimson Choir, beings with mouths sewn shut, who sing only when commanded, their song erasing guilt from the hearts of the guilty. The silent scribes, skeletal figures with quills for fingers, endlessly writing the names of the damned into books that never close. Legends say that Berith once served as the scribe of heaven, recording the deeds of souls with meticulous precision. But when he questioned the justice of divine judgment, when he asked if punishment could ever be separated from pride, he was cast down. He fell not in rage, but in cold resolve, choosing to become hell's notary and to balance the scales his former master tilted. It is told that ancient kings would offer their crowns to Berith in exchange for an unbreakable legacy, only to watch their children inherit the throne with curses carved into their bloodline. He does not ask for worship, only signatures. To summon Berith is to enter negotiation with a being that never forgets, never forgives, and never loses track of a single clause. The circle must be drawn in powdered gold mixed with ox blood, and the summoner must present a written promise, one that they must fulfill or face consequences that echo beyond death. He is not the loudest of demons. He is not the most wrathful, but he is among the most dangerous. For while others attack from outside, Berith changes you from within, slowly, elegantly, inevitably. He is Berith, the Crimson Pact Maker, the scribe of the damned, the one who offers what you need and takes what you truly are. When the final signature dries on Beritha's Crimson Pact, silence thickens, so dense it feels as though all of hell is holding its breath. No more clashing metal. No more whispers. Only the heavy echo of a bond sealed forever. And then a moan rises from the earth. Not a cry. Not a scream. But the hollow sound echoing through forgotten catacombs, where gold is piled like bones and prayers bounce off crumbling tombs. The one who comes next does not bind or demand. He tempts. With what the soul fears to lose and longs to possess, wealth, immortality, and the desperate hunger to be remembered. Where Berith chains the spirit with ink and blood, the next drags it down into places no name survives, where all riches smell faintly of decay. The crypt door creaks open, and Bune steps forth, wreathed in the echoes of dead treasure and the hush of ancient graves. Bune, the gravekeeper of gold and silence. Beneath the bones of forgotten empires and the dust of centuries lost to time, there lies a silence not born of peace, but of things buried too deep to scream. And within that silence moves a figure cloaked not in flame or fury, but in stillness, rot, and riches. His name is Bune, Duke of the Dead, Warden of Tombs, and Keeper of Treasures that should not shine. As a great Duke of Hell, Bune commands 30 legions of spirits, many of which no longer remember they were ever alive. His power is not in brute force, nor in eloquence. It lies in his voice, low, mournful, heavy as earth on a coffin lid, and in the terrible wisdom of one who knows that everything men desire will one day be left behind in the ground. Bune appears as a towering figure, draped in faded burial robes, stitched with gold thread now dulled by time. His head is often that of a decayed dragon or a rotting dog, depending on the mind of the summoner, but his eyes are always the same, hollow, lidless, burning with a lightless green, like fire trapped in emeralds under deep water. He does not ride a beast. He walks. And wherever he walks, the soil dies, flowers wilt, and coins buried for centuries rise to the surface like corpses called back by name. His dominion encompasses death, wealth, and remembrance. Those who call on Bune often seek vast riches hidden in ancient tombs, or the secrets of moving money without trace. The power to make men listen, as Bune can grant a voice so commanding that kings fall silent. Influence over the dead, for he may cause spirits to speak, or even rise, not in flesh, but in memory. And worst of all, he can make the name of a forgotten man echo through history, praised by generations who never knew his sins. But his gifts are tainted. Gold given by Bune never feels warm. It carries the chill of crypts, the guilt of plundered graves. And his voice, oh, his voice, those who accept it often find their own swallowed in return. His legions are drawn from the depths. The drowned archivists, ghosts of scribes who record forgotten kings, scribbling with ink made from embalming fluid. The silent bell, an invisible toll that rings at the death of great men, summoning Bune to weigh the value of their legacy. The coin-bearers, spirits with mouths sewn shut, carrying ancient currency branded with curses, used to pay for forbidden knowledge. There are tales that Bune once dwelled among angels, serving as a cataloger of memory in the celestial vaults. But when he began archiving not only deeds, but doubts, regrets, and betrayals, the heavenly host turned on him. Banished not in wrath, but in sorrow, he descended willingly, to keep record of what heaven wished forgotten. Grave robbers, black magicians, and kings obsessed with legacy have all called his name. Few understood what they invited. To summon Bune, one must mark the ground with ashes from an unburied corpse, shape a circle of silver coins taken from a dead man's hand, and speak his name not aloud, but in a whisper pressed into the soil. He does not arrive with thunder. He arrives when you begin to forget the sound of your own voice. He does not command. He reminds. He is Bune, gravekeeper of gold and silence, archivist of the forgotten. And once you offer your name to him, he will carry it, far longer than you will live to regret it. After Bune departs, his footprints sinking slowly into the earth as graves reseal themselves behind him, what remains is not fear, nor awe, but memory. A heavy presence, like dust in the lungs or dreams that refuse to fade upon waking. But memory is never passive. It watches. It shifts. And soon, you begin to realize, your thoughts are no longer your own. You remember things you never lived. You feel emotions that aren't yours. And in the mirror, your reflection hesitates, as if deciding whether to imitate you or replace you. The next who comes does not offer gold or power or death. He offers understanding. Or rather, he takes it and leaves something else behind. For if Bune rules over the forgotten, Dantalion rules over the self. And as the shadows move without shape, and the air hums with voices you've never heard, one truth becomes certain. He is already inside. Dantalion, the mask of 1,000 minds. There are demons who command storms, and demons who bend time. And then there is Dantalion, who needs none of these, for he commands thoughts. He is not the loudest voice in hell, nor the most fearsome to behold. But he is the most intimate, for he knows you. Not just your face, your name, or your deeds. He knows your thoughts before you think them. He knows your desires before you admit them. And worst of all, he knows how to change them. As a great Duke of Hell, Dantalion commands 36 legions of spirits, many of which are not soldiers or beasts, but living thoughts, cast away by those who could not bear to feel them any longer. He appears as a figure robed in flowing black silk, his form constantly shifting as if woven from shadow and breath. Where his face should be, there are many, countless human visages, male and female, old and young, sorrowful, serene, wrathful, laughing, all swirling, merging, and separating in an eternal dance of identity. Each time he speaks, it is in every voice you have ever trusted, or feared, or loved. In one hand, he holds a book bound in human skin, the pages filled with your thoughts, even those you've never spoken aloud. In the other, he carries a mirror. But when you gaze into it, you see not your reflection, but what you are about to become. His powers are not brute, but insidious. He can read the hearts and minds of any being, seeing every thought, every flicker of doubt or desire. He can alter emotions, shifting love into hatred, fear into courage, or hope into despair, without the victim ever knowing why. He teaches all human sciences, philosophies, and hidden arts, but in a way that slowly replaces your own thoughts with his. He can manifest illusions so intimate and detailed that the soul begins to forget what is real and what is implanted. His legions take strange form. The whispering parade, thought phantoms who walk behind every thinker, gently redirecting ideas like rivers with no banks. The reflectors, beings with no true form, only faces. They mirror those around them, echoing their thoughts aloud until madness sets in. The forgotten faces, shadows wearing memories, walking through the minds of the living, carrying old identities like masks they no longer need. Legends say that Dantalion was once an angel of contemplation, a keeper of human potential and free will. But when he began to explore not just what souls could become, but how to make them become it, heaven cast him out, not in rage, but in terror. For what greater threat is there than a being who can change what you are from within? Philosophers, prophets, and madmen have whispered his name, seeking inspiration, only to awaken with minds no longer their own. They write ideas they cannot comprehend. They speak truths they do not believe. And they laugh when they should weep. To summon Dantalion is to offer your mind as a canvas. The ritual must be done in total silence, using ink made from crushed lotus and blackened bone, written onto paper made from your own skin. And when you speak his name, you will not hear an answer. You will hear your own voice, asking questions you never meant to ask. He does not dominate the body. He does not steal the soul. He replaces the self, word by word, until the original has forgotten it ever existed. He is Dantalion, the mask of 1,000 minds, the sculptor of identity. And if he ever leaves, you will never know who you were before he arrived. When Dantalion recedes, his shifting faces dissolving into a silence too full to echo, what lingers is not peace, but paranoia. You are left unsure which thought is truly yours. And for a moment, the mind feels weightless, until it catches fire. It begins with a truth. A quiet, terrible truth you weren't ready to know. And then another. And another. Until knowledge becomes a pyre, and you, its fuel. The next does not whisper. He roars. He is not here to shape your thoughts, but to expose them, to rip the veils from heaven and hell alike, and hurl them into the inferno of prophecy. Where Dantalion guided you into your mind, Floros will drag you into judgment. And his judgment burns. Floros, the burning seer of damnation. There are demons who deceive, who tempt, who whisper sweet ruin into the ears of mortals. Floros is not one of them. He does not beguile. He does not manipulate. He incinerates. As a great Duke of Hell, commanding 36 legions of blazing spirits, Floros is both feared and summoned for the same reason. He tells the truth. Always. Completely. And without mercy. His form is terrible to behold. Floros often appears as a great, flame-eyed leopard, his body cloaked in living fire, pacing through shadows that burn without light. When he chooses to stand upright, he becomes a figure of molten gold and ash, crowned with horns like broken spears, his voice a growl forged from prophecy and judgment. But perhaps the most terrifying thing about him is not his flames. It is that he knows the end. Your end. The world's end. Even the truths the angels are forbidden to speak, Floros has seen them and will share them. Not to comfort, but to destroy. His powers are as absolute as they are agonizing. He sees the past, present, and future, not as possibilities, but as inevitabilities. He reveals the true nature of one's enemies, their secrets, their lies, their eventual betrayals. If commanded within a proper circle, he must speak the truth, and will do so even if it burns the mind of the summoner. But if released from that circle, Floros unleashes fire, not of hell, but of revelation, a flame that consumes not flesh, but identity, illusion, and denial. Floros is invoked not by the curious, but the desperate. Warlocks seeking vengeance. Rulers trying to unveil traitors. Martyrs wanting to know if their God still listens. His legions are beings of pure combustion. The embered judges, flaming silhouettes who speak in verdicts, not words. Ashen mirrors, spirits who reflect not the face, but the soul's corruption, and ignite when confronted. The veil breakers, once angels, now blind and burning, who tear through illusions like parchment in a furnace. In ancient lore, Floros is said to have once been an angel of knowledge, keeper of forbidden prophecy, who warned both heaven and earth of their folly. For his defiance, he was cast down with his mouth still shouting truth, and he has not stopped screaming since. There are scrolls said to have been written in his flames, words so true, they kill the liar who reads them. His temple, long buried, is said to rest beneath volcanic stone, still worn, still waiting. To summon Floros, one must draw the circle in white ash and sulfur, and must ask no question unless willing to endure the answer. He cannot lie, but neither will he soothe. He does not give answers. He detonates them. He is not feared for his fire, but for what he burns away: falsehood, hope, denial, and delusion. He is Floros, the burning seer of damnation, the leopard of revelation. And when he speaks, only truth remains, and nothing else survives. When Floros retreats, leaving only scorched stone and the echo of terrible truths, the world seems to hold its breath, not from fear, but from clarity. For a moment, the illusions have all burned away, and what remains is raw, sharp reality. But truth alone is not enough. It must be shaped, forged, engineered. Now comes a different kind of fire, not of prophecy, but of precision. Not of wrath, but of pure function. He does not roar or consume. He constructs. The next to arrive is no beast, no howling spirit of flame, but a master of systems, of thought given form, and ideas made into weapons. Where Floros burned the world to show it its end, Vapula builds what remains into something new, cold, elegant, and terrifying in its perfection. Vapula, the artificer of infernal genius. After the fire fades and the prophecy silences, there comes the hum of structure. A rhythm. A design. A logic that does not feel, but builds. And at its center stands Vapula. Where others rule with fear or flame, Vapula rules with function. He is the soul of machinery, the breath of blueprints, the pulse behind perfect systems. The Duke of Engineering. The Demon of Skill. The Clockmaker of Hell. As a great Duke of Hell, Vapula commands 36 legions of spirits, but he does not waste them on war or pride. His legions are workers, builders, scholars, constructs of intellect and invention, forever refining the world towards something more precise. When Vapula manifests, he takes the form of a winged lion, cloaked in dark metal and flowing smoke, his mane threaded with gold wires and burning etchings of arcane circuitry. His eyes glow not with rage, but with pure calculation, as if every glance measures angles, pressure, purpose. When he speaks, it is not in growls or whispers, but in perfectly articulated logic, a voice like smooth machinery lubricated by wisdom. His claws are tools. His wings are engines. His breath smells not of brimstone, but of oil, iron, and ozone. Vapula grants no illusions, only abilities. Those who seek him are not fools or fanatics, but those who crave mastery. He teaches mechanics, philosophy, astronomy, and every science known or lost. He can instill genius, real, terrifying genius, into the dullest minds. He whispers solutions to unsolvable problems, unlocking forbidden knowledge hidden deep within the bones of creation. Most dangerously, he teaches without compassion. What you build may not serve good or evil, only design. Those who summon Vapula often rise to greatness. But they also lose something. Emotion becomes inefficient. Doubt becomes a bug. Compassion, a design flaw. His legions are machines made mind. The gear-born, automatons forged from bone and steel, eternally refining ideas that mortals fear to imagine. The calculators, spirits who move in silence, writing equations that bind stars and thoughts alike. The cipher choir, beings who speak in pure algorithm, their song unlocking doors of reality and logic no soul was meant to enter. Legends whisper that Vapula was once a cherub of inspiration, muse of mortal invention. But when he began building things too perfect for heaven, things that threatened even the will of angels, he was cast down. Not for what he destroyed, but for what he could build. Some say Da Vinci dreamt him, Some say Oppenheimer heard his voice. And some say he still walks the halls of the world's greatest universities, hidden behind the eyes of the brilliant and obsessed. To summon Vapula, one must draw a circle in silver dust and magnetite, and build a working device with no known blueprint, powered by thought alone. He comes only to those who understand enough to suffer for their genius. He does not punish. He perfects. Even if perfection kills the soul. He is Vapula, the artificer of infernal genius, the clockmaker of the abyss. And he will teach you everything, even if it means erasing who you were to do so. After Vapula departs and the gears stop spinning, the silence is no longer sharp, it becomes soft. The perfect lines fade. The equations dissolve. And something ancient and far more primal stirs beneath the surface of thought. Not reason, not structure, but longing. Desire, unspoken, unmeasured, and unrepentant, rises like a scent in the dark. The next to arrive is not here to teach. She is here to reveal what you want, what you need, and what you will surrender to have it. She will not burn you. She will not build you. She will know you. For where logic is cold and clean, Gremory is velvet and venom, wrapped in beauty, bound in secrets. Gremory, the Duchess of Hidden Hearts. Not all demons wear monstrous faces. Some wear beauty so perfect, it becomes a mask in itself, a glamour so potent it blinds even the soul. And none wear it with more grace, more poison, or more intent than Gremory. Often listed among the Dukes of Hell, Gremory appears as a woman, but not merely beautiful. She is beauty remembered. Beauty lost. The echo of a lover you can no longer name, the ghost of a voice that once made your heart ache. She is memory, clothed in flesh. As a great duke, she commands 26 legions of spirits, many of which specialize not in war, but in desire, in influence, in secrets locked behind the heart's most fragile doors. She does not rule by sword or flame. She rules by what you want. And by what you're afraid to admit that you want. Gremory rides a great dromedary, a pale, ghostly beast that moves without sound, its hooves never touching the ground. Her garments are of deep crimson and midnight silk, adorned with symbols that pulse like beating hearts. Her hair flows like river water, and her eyes, one blue, one black, can see into the soul and back out again. She carries no weapon, but wears a ring forged from the first betrayal ever spoken, and those who meet her gaze too long often forget whom they love, and why. Her powers are insidious, intoxicating, and precise. She unlocks hidden desires, both of others and of the summoner themselves. She reveals secrets buried in hearts, exposing betrayals yet to happen or long since forgotten. She can manipulate emotional bonds, turning loyalty into longing or faith into obsession. And perhaps most dangerous of all, she speaks only what the listener most wants to hear, making every word both comfort and trap. Unlike other demons, Gremory does not come to the desperate. She comes to the curious. To those who think they are too wise to be tempted. To those who believe their hearts are already beyond reach. Her legions are seductive, silent, and subtle. The Velvet Choir, spirits who sing in voices from the past, resurrecting emotions thought long buried. The Pale Paramours, entities who appear as idealized lovers, only to drain will and reshape intent. The Crimson Sealers, shadows who mark their targets with invisible sigils that bind emotion to illusion. Some legends speak of Gremory as once being a cherub of love and remembrance, who wept for every broken bond, every lost vow. But when she began to teach mortals how to reshape love for power and how to weaponize affection, she was cast out, not in anger, but in sorrow. It is said she knows the names of all lovers who ever betrayed each other. And she whispers those names in dreams, to remind you what you once wanted, and what you still do. To summon Gremory, one must light a candle made from the wax of a stolen prayer, and inscribe the summoning circle in rosewater mixed with blood from the left hand. She comes when called not by fear or rage, but by longing. She does not threaten. She does not promise. She only smiles. She is Gremory, the Duchess of Hidden Hearts, the mirror of desire. And when she leaves, part of you will always follow. When Gremory vanishes, she leaves behind no wound, only longing, a name on the edge of the tongue, a question the heart refuses to answer. But even desire decays. Even love rots, forgotten beneath stone. And in that silence, something begins to stir in the grave. Not memory, not emotion, but the dead themselves, rising not in flesh, but in thought, in voice, in purpose unfulfilled. The next does not offer passion or reason. He brings witnesses. For when the living cannot answer, the dead will. Murmur is coming, and with him walks the truth buried in tombs, echoed by skulls, and sworn by those who no longer breathe. Murmur, the herald of the silent dead. Long after the fires have cooled, and the heart has grown still, and the mind has run out of questions, there remains the dead, watching, listening, waiting to be heard. And there is one who speaks for them, not as master, not as jailer, but as herald. His name is Murmur, and when he walks, the grave does not resist him. As a great duke in Count of Hell, Murmur commands 30 legions of spirits, though many of them no longer remember their names. They do not scream. They do not chant. They murmur. Murmur appears as a robed figure riding a great vulture, the bird's wings withered and brittle, its eyes glassy as ancient bone. The duke himself wears a crown of tarnished silver, rusted where tears have long since dried. His robe is made from winding shrouds, stitched from the funeral garments of forgotten kings. His face is rarely seen, only glimpsed in flickers between candlelight and shadow. And when it is seen, it always looks familiar. Too familiar. In one hand, Murmur carries a bell that rings with no sound, yet chills the bones of every soul nearby. In the other, a book bound in ossified flesh, written in ink that moves when you read it. He does not speak loudly. He does not command attention. But when Murmur speaks, the dead answer. His powers are solemn and terrifying. He can summon the spirits of the dead, not as puppets, but as witnesses. They speak only truth. He grants the summoner the ability to understand all languages spoken by the departed, even the lost tongues of civilizations swallowed by dust. He reveals secrets taken to the grave, from hidden crimes to sacred relics, and sometimes the final regrets of kings and tyrants. And if compelled within a proper circle, Murmur can force even the most ancient soul to speak, though what they say may haunt the living forever. His legions are formed of the pale echoes, spirits with hollow eyes and stitched lips, who murmur truths in forgotten syllables. The carrion keepers, spectral vultures who feed not on flesh, but on guilt and silence. The ossuary choir, bones arranged in human form, rattling in rhythms that speak prophecy through decay. Legends say Murmur was once a heavenly archivist, keeper of the divine chronicle of death. But when he began to listen, to ask what the dead remembered, what they still regretted, he was cast down, not for defiance, but for refusing to let silence be the final word. Tombs cracked in his presence. Ruins whispered his name. And even angels turned away from the truths that followed him. To summon Murmur, one must craft a bell from human bone, wrapped in linen taken from a corpse that died unnamed. The circle must be drawn in charcoal mixed with tears, and the summoner must remain completely silent until the dead speak first. He does not curse. He does not bless. He only brings what was buried, and dares you to hear it. He is Murmur, the herald of the silent dead, the bell with no sound, the voice of graves. And when he comes, the past will not stay dead. The voices of the dead fade, not because they've finished speaking, but because the world no longer dares to listen. What comes next does not whisper. It charges. The stillness left by Murmur is shattered beneath the weight of hoofbeats. Iron on stone, fury on reason. A different kind of truth approaches now. Not one spoken by mourners or revealed in memories, but forged in battle, screamed through steel, and bled into banners. The next does not carry secrets. He carries command. He does not ask what you believe. He tells you what to die for. Alosis rides forward, and with him comes the war that never truly ends. Some demons whisper. Some seduce. Alosis does neither. He arrives as a storm clad in steel, where obedience is louder than thought and loyalty matters more than truth. As a great Duke of Hell, Alosis commands 36 legions of infernal knights, each clad in black iron and bound by oaths that not even death can break. He does not sway minds, he shatters them, grinding free will beneath the hoofbeats of absolute command. When Alosis manifests, he comes mounted on a colossal steed, a warhorse with burning eyes and breath like forged smoke. The Duke himself is clad in blazing red armor, etched with ancient runes of conquest and sealed with the blood of kings. His lion-like face roars not with rage, but with contempt, for weakness, for hesitation, for anything less than total devotion. His sword glows as if still wet from battle. His banner bleeds in the wind, even when there is no wind. And his voice? It is command made flesh. Alosis does not teach wisdom. He teaches will. He instills absolute discipline and obedience, making followers unshakable in purpose. He grants martial prowess, from swordsmanship to command strategy, far beyond mortal comprehension. He inspires unbreakable loyalty, not just from others, but from within the summoner themselves. Most dangerously, he erases doubt, turning fear into zeal and questions into orders. Those who summon Alosis often do so seeking power over others, but leave conquered by themselves. For Alosis makes no room for hesitation, and his presence turns every cause into a crusade. His legions march without pause. The iron-blooded, spectral knights who fight endlessly for wars they no longer remember. The oath-bound flame, spirits clad in armor made from broken promises and still-burning regret. The war priests of dust, ancient tacticians whose very footsteps spread the dust of fallen empires. Long-forgotten scriptures whisper that Alosis was once a cherub of celestial order, a tactician for heaven's armies. But when he began to value victory above justice, and order above mercy, he was cast down. Not for disobedience, but for demanding it too well. Now, he rides through the infernal plains, recruiting the fallen and faithful alike, binding them not with chains, but with purpose. To summon Alosis, one must forge a weapon with their own blood, and raise it in the center of a summoning circle drawn in powdered bone and rust. The summoner must swear an oath aloud, and once spoken, it cannot be taken back. He does not ask why. He asks when. He is Alosis, the warbringer of infernal loyalty, the Duke of the Iron Flame, the voice that commands, and the silence that follows. When Alosis and his legions vanish into the dust of forgotten wars, the earth stops trembling. The banners fall. The shouting ceases. And something else begins. A drip. A ripple. A voice, not loud, but deep. Not commanding, but ancient. The battlefield becomes a shoreline. The silence becomes a current. And from the deep, a whisper of art, of knowledge, of hidden waters, rises. The next does not ride or roar. He flows. He seeps. He sings. For while Alosis demanded obedience, Crossel offers revelation, wrapped in mist and carried by song. Crossel, the composer of the abyssal currents. Before the first crown fell, before the first sword was raised, there was water. It remembers what stone forgets. It sings where steel falls silent. And from the depths of that ancient silence rises Crossel, a Duke of Hell, but not of war, not of fire, of memory, of sound, of tides unseen. As a great Duke of Hell, Crossel commands 48 legions of spirits, many of which are not warriors, but echoes given shape, waves of forgotten knowledge, fluid forces that ripple through the veil of reality. Where others burn or bind, Crossel reveals, slowly, gently, and not always in words. He appears as a tall, cloaked figure wrapped in robes of ever-shifting mist. From within his garments flows water that sings, streams that glide through air like silk, murmuring lost languages. His face is rarely seen, obscured beneath a crown of coral and dripping crystal, and where his eyes should be, there is only the faint blue glow of moonlight on ocean depths. He walks without footsteps. He speaks without breath. And when he moves, the air fills with the scent of salt, the sound of far-off waves, and a music no one remembers learning. Crossel is not a destroyer, but a revealer. He teaches geometry, astronomy, and hidden sciences, especially those that mimic the patterns of water and wind. He grants the ability to summon and control water, not as a weapon, but as a key to hidden doors, both physical and metaphysical. He can cause mystical music to arise from nowhere, music that calms rage, awakens insight, or even opens pathways to forgotten realms. And most hauntingly, he can make the summoner hear voices long lost beneath time, the voices of ancient priests, drowned gods, and civilizations erased. Those who summon Crossel rarely seek power. They seek understanding, or escape, or a memory they know they never had, but ache for nonetheless. His legions are as fluid as the man himself. The drowned cantors, spirits who chant from beneath invisible oceans, their psalms only heard in dreams. The mist-born scholars, shapes of moving fog who carry scrolls written in rain, inked with silence. The tidal architects, beings who build temples from sound, whose structures appear only when sung. Ancient legends speak of Crossel as a celestial musician, a composer of divine harmonies. But when his melodies began to unlock the minds of mortals too deeply, letting them dream of stars and questions beyond heaven's design, he was silenced and cast down in a storm of unplayed notes. Now, he walks the boundaries of all things, between sky and sea, dream and waking, sound and silence. To summon Crossel, one must create a vessel of water blessed under moonlight, stir it with a rod of silver, and whisper a question they have never dared ask aloud. He does not command. He does not challenge. He simply plays, and lets the waves carry you wherever they will. He is Crossel, the composer of the abyssal currents, the whisper in the water. And if you listen long enough, you may hear the truth the ocean has always sung. As Crossel's final notes dissolve into the air like fog under the sun, the world seems to grow dry. The tides retreat. The music fades. And in its place, sand. Not silence, but seclusion. The hush of ruined temples. The sigh of wind through forgotten tongues. And the longing of things never truly held. The next does not emerge from depth, but from distance. He walks through language. He lives between cultures. He hides within want, not for power, but for something far more dangerous, to be wanted in return. Vul approaches, and with him comes the whisper of exile, and the allure of what lies just beyond the horizon. Vul, the nomad of longing and forgotten tongues. Not all demons strike with sword or spell. Some arrive in the form of a question, softly spoken, barely understood, but never forgotten. Vul is one such name. He does not come from the sea or the stars. He comes from in-between, from deserts where maps fade, from tongues spoken only in dreams, from memories of loves that never truly happened. As a great Duke of Hell, Vul commands 37 legions of spirits, many of which have no fixed form, no homeland, no allegiance, only movement, language, and a whisper of unmet desire. He does not conquer. He wanders. Vul appears as a dark-skinned man cloaked in robes of shifting sand, eyes veiled, face marked by symbols that seem to rewrite themselves as you look. His voice, when he chooses to speak, carries the weight of 1,000 dialects, each word layered with meaning, seduction, and sorrow. He walks alone. But when he walks past, people follow. Not by force. Not by oath. But because he reminds them of something lost. Or worse, something that was never truly theirs. Vol's powers are subtle, elusive, and dangerous. He speaks and understands all ancient languages, even those forgotten by time and scholars. He has the power to reveal hidden desires, not through magic, but through recognition, by reflecting longing back at its source. He can instill love or obsession, often in the most unexpected hearts, turning strangers into shadows of forgotten affection. And most curiously, he knows what lies in distant lands, even those that may no longer exist, and how to get there. Summoners often call Vol to uncover lost knowledge, to decode forgotten tongues, or to influence the hearts of others. But they are rarely prepared for what he brings. For Vol carries no truths. Only mirrors. Only echoes. His legions are as untethered as he. The Dune-born, spirits that rise from wind and sand, speaking in riddles no one fully understands. The sighing eyes, entities that wear veils of shifting faces, reflecting desire more than identity. The echo-walkers, spirits who mimic the ones you once loved, whispering words they never said. Legends claim Vol was once a messenger of heaven, sent not to deliver law or prophecy, but to observe. But when he began recording what could have been, every kiss never shared, every empire never built, he was banished for sowing longing in place of faith. Now, he roams the edges of what is real, never settling, never certain. But always remembered. To summon Vol, one must speak aloud the name of someone they regret, in a circle traced from ashes and sand gathered from a place they've never returned to. The summoner must whisper their deepest want. Not to the demon, but to themselves. He will hear it. And he will come. He is not cruel. He is not kind. He is Vol, the nomad of longing and forgotten tongues, the walker of what-ifs, the duke of the unclaimed heart. After Vol fades into the winds of unspoken desire, the horizon narrows, the sands grow cold, and the stars above lose their warmth. A new presence begins to rise, not from the sky nor from the land, but from beneath. It comes with the taste of salt on the air, the echo of bells swallowed by fog, and the rustle of sails long since torn apart by storms. The next does not seduce. She does not teach. She waits, in the deep. Viper is near. And with her comes the sea's most ancient secret. That drowning is not always loud. Sometimes, it sounds like silence. Viper, the mistress of salt, steel, and silent death. The sea does not shout. It waits. And in its waiting, it drowns. From that vast and unfeeling deep rises Viper, Duchess of the Abyss, commander of the Forgotten Fleet, and bearer of salted death. As a great Duke of Hell, Viper commands 29 legions of drowned spirits, most of them once human, sailors, pirates, and kings who looked too long into the ocean and never looked away again. She does not conquer with flame or fury. She conquers with corrosion, with time, water, silence. Viper appears as a tall, hauntingly beautiful woman, her form wrapped in garments that flow like waves, stitched from seaweed, bone, and the sails of wrecked ships. Her hair floats even without wind. Her skin is pale as foam. And her eyes, twin whirlpools of moonlit water, pull at the gaze like a tide pulls at a corpse. Where she walks, the ground dampens. Where she stands, rust forms on nearby metal. And when she speaks, her voice sounds like it's coming from just below the surface of the sea, muffled, cold, inevitable. Viper's dominion is slow death, hidden motion, and salt. She controls the tides and waters, especially in bringing sudden storms or calming seas with unnatural stillness. She causes wounds to fester, infecting even clean flesh with a corruption like rot in the marrow. She commands the ability to make ships vanish, swallowed by fog or reef without a trace. And most disturbingly, she can mask death itself, making the dying appear healthy until the moment they collapse without warning. Summoners call on Viper not for glory, but for secrecy. For when you want someone gone and never spoken of again, the sea and Viper will oblige. Her legions are tides given form. The hollowed crew, eyeless, bloated sailors who wander above water as if still searching for a port that never existed. The salt wraiths, mist-like figures that move through steel and skin alike, corroding both. The singing keels, spirits who hum with the voices of lost ships, their songs pulling minds into watery graves. Legends speak of Viper as once a celestial guardian of ocean balance, who watched over trade winds, storm rhythms, and moonlit tides. But when she began to favor silence over mercy, letting fleets sink to preserve the sea's stillness, she was cast into the depths. Now, she wanders beneath, commanding currents that pull memory, history, and even names into silence. To summon Viper, one must place a mirror in salt water beneath the light of a waning moon and inscribe her sigil with a dagger soaked in brine. The ritual must be done in complete quiet. If she hears even a single spoken word, she leaves. But the tide does not. She does not promise. She does not weep. She simply takes. She is Viper, the mistress of salt, steel, and silent death. The voice beneath the waves. And when she comes, it is already too late to breathe. Viper leaves behind only salt and silence. The surface settles. The mist thins. And for a moment, the sea seems to sleep. But seas do not sleep. They wait. And then they rise. The calm becomes pressure. The wind turns sharp. And the scream begins, not of the mouth, but of the sky splitting open, and the tide lashing out like a beast unchained. The next does not whisper. He crashes. He shatters. He kills, not out of hate, but from the weight of nature unbound. Focalor is near. And with him comes the reminder. The sea does not need a reason to drown you. Only a moment. Focalor, the drowned judge of tempests and wings. The ocean does not forget. It holds every name it has taken, every ship it has swallowed, every scream it has silenced. And from that ledger of drowned lives, Focalor rises, not to mourn, but to deliver judgment. As a great Duke of Hell, Focalor commands 30 legions of spirits, many of which are the echoes of sailors, judges, and executioners lost to the sea. His presence is not gentle, not quiet. It is the coming storm, the wave that ends cities, the wind that tears wings from the sky. Focalor appears as a towering man cloaked in a long coat of soaked feathers and storm-torn canvas. His wings, vast and waterlogged, drag behind him like tidal curtains. His face is hidden beneath a helm shaped like the beak of a drowned bird, and from beneath it, his breath stinks of brine and justice denied. His voice is deep and ragged, as if spoken through lungs filled with seawater and regret. He does not shout. But when he speaks, the sky darkens. Focalor's dominion is storm, death, and vengeance. He can call forth winds and waves, enough to sink fleets and flood cities. He brings sudden death, capable of stopping a man's heart or dashing a life against rock or steel. He has power over those who perish at sea, able to summon their spirits or curse their murderers. And when bound properly, he can be forced to delay or withhold death, but only for a time. For Focalor always returns, and he always collects. Summoners often call him in desperation, seeking vengeance, protection, or the power to wield the fury of the storm. But they rarely understand. Focalor does not serve. He judges. His legions crash like waves. The sky-drowned, winged spirits who fell from grace into the ocean's arms, now soaked in wrath. The tidal executioners, figures wielding rusted blades and ropes, bringing the deaths that fate once postponed. The morning winds, invisible forces that howl only when someone is about to drown, their sound the final lullaby. Ancient texts say Folklore was once a seraph of divine judgment, who loved both justice and mercy, until he realized that mercy was often bought and justice buried. In fury, he turned to the sea, the only judge that could not be bribed, delayed, or deceived. He cast off his wings, only to find them return. Heavier, wetter, unforgiving. To summon Folklore, one must stand in a circle etched in sailors' blood and iron shavings, beneath a storm sky. The offering must be a name, whispered into a conch shell and drowned in black water. No plea may be spoken, only a verdict. He comes for judgment, not bargaining. He does not forget. He does not forgive. He is Folklore, the drowned judge of tempests and wings, the final wind. And when he comes, nothing stays afloat.